I think of what you're tagging with mathematics there, I think of under the title logic with a capital L, which I would think of as the objective regularities inherent in nature itself. And I think that in the same sense as I said in relation to physics, where there are the regularities derive in our scientific models from certain physical, all the special sciences ultimately reduced to physics, and physics is dependent on these certain factors that could have been other than they are. And in that sense, we're going to want to find an explanation for the regularities which are contingent in terms of metaphysics. But I'm skeptical as to the capacity of metaphysics to provide an explanation for regularities in general, because it is an implicit commitment of any project of explanation that there are such regularities. And so there's no way to vindicate that commitment because it's implicitly assumed. You can't not assume it. So the vindication falls through. It doesn't, yeah.
Right. Like if you were to explain irrationality as the foundation, then you're not explaining anything. I like that you brought in your capital L logic, because that helps me understand how you think about that in a different way. Yeah, and it's interesting to think if we're bringing in the principle of sufficient reason to start with, then that's almost capturing that as well. It's like, well,
yeah, exactly.
We're assuming there's regularities that we can explain or capture within our conceptual apparatus.
Yeah. And that actually, I think those two, so that second part of the like regularity thing, the general part, and the principle of sufficient reason, both of those I think of as pre-reflective commitments. Like they are constitutive of the project of reasoning. They're not optional. So those aren't even requirements of a TOE. Those are requirements of sense making in general. You cannot make any sense unless you accept principles such as the principle of sufficient reason and the notion that there are regularities in the world.
It's interesting, though, that people can still use those tools to come to conclusions that there is no rational explanation for things.
Yeah. I mean, the beauty of what it is to be a subjective creature is that you can be wrong. You can be wildly, wildly wrong.